Welcome back to the Vindolanda Excavations. My name is Dr. Andrew Birley, the Director of Excavations, and what I'm going to show you today is a whole series of extra-mural buildings, or part of the town, outside the walls of one of the timber forts of Vindolanda, dated from 105 to about 120 AD, just before Hadrian's Wall was starting to be constructed, about 1.5 miles to the north of the site. Now these buildings are constructed in wattle and daub, which is typical of that sort of period at the site, and in fact the wattle work is as fine as one might expect inside the walls of the fort itself. If you get a little closer look at one of the fences here, you can see how this has been constructed, weaving silver birch twigs and branches between much larger uprights and then packing it with clay to make a really secure and rather watertight and probably fairly warm building. Now we've got two types of structure here. We've got a typical sort of rectilinear building or house, and if I come back a little bit further you can see that on the top of the site, and there it is in the foreground, and then behind it we've got a roundhouse or circular hut. Now the circular hut is absolutely marvellous because this is a sort of traditional Romano-British style construction, and it's very rare to see them surviving as well as this, with the wattle and daub fences standing so high. And because we had the structure standing so high, we had a lot of its carpet surviving too, or the material on top of its floor, made of heather, straw and bracken. And in that material we found an awful lot of fantastically fine Roman pottery, leather boots and shoes, wooden combs, perfume bottles, and of course very, very importantly, stylus pens, stylus tablets, and an ink pen nib, and a part of an ink writing tablet as well, with 3 lines of text on it, which has now gone to the laboratory of Vindolanda, where it will be conserved before eventually being researched. And the building in the foreground, we can see a lovely quernstone still in position. In actual fact, we've got quernstones in both of these buildings, suggesting they were probably domestic dwellings. If we come round a little bit further, we can see the quernstone also sitting in situ just in the roundhouse here, and there it is. It's a different type, it's a bun quern rather than the more traditional type that we see from Roman period. Now also in the corner of the rectilinear building we have this lovely clay lined pit, and when we excavated that it was absolutely chock-a-block full of seeds and nuts, in particular hazelnuts. So it looks like it's been a little storage compartment for somebody's stash of hazelnuts, which unfortunately for them they haven't been able to rescue before they left the building. Now these structures sitting outside the walls of the fort could have been intensely vulnerable if there were times of trouble or conflict, and it looks like very much they were abandoned in a bit of a hurry. They're only preserved as well as they are because of what came next. When the Hadrian's Wall construction started to take place, up on the ridge behind Vindolanda, beyond the digger there, about 1 mile or so away, Vindolanda had a new fort, and its fort had a new defensive ditch under the spoil heap that we can see in the foreground, running across the grass here and the weeds underneath there. And when they dug that ditch, they upcast all the clay from the bottom of the ditch, you can see it in the bank in a section here, covering over the earlier extramural buildings, effectively sealing them from the oxygen and creating the fantastic anaerobic conditions which these things are preserved. And over the course of the next 2 or 3 years, as we continue the excavations at the site, we expect to see a lot more buildings in this sort of fantastic condition, this wonderful state of preservation from the site, but inside the walls of the fort rather than outside. So watch this space as that develops.